Hey guys, welcome back to AGA.
Hey.
Today we are talking about the 4 board games that probably should have won board game of the year.
Now, we are not saying that the ones they competed against shouldn't have won, because in the case of a couple of these, some of them are more recent.
Yeah.
We really enjoy, in fact,
We
probably
do.
enjoy those more. But
Yeah.
these ones are like, man, if they were any other year, they would have won and should have won.
Yep,
and in
absolutely.
some cases, should have beat out who they lost to.
Yeah.
But
These
we
games
will
are
say,
just amazing, and that's why we'll want to talk about them.
Yeah, exactly right. So let's talk about the first one, the kind of most obvious one. It's one I don't actually think should have won, but others in our group do.
Right
and so
here,
we've added
that's
it.
me. I definitely think it should have won, and this is Pandemic.
Pandemic.
I'm sure you guys have heard about it. Pandemic is a very popular game.
And that's probably why it's the most obvious one that we include on the list.
Yeah.
Other ones you're going to see were runners up, and so you're probably going to notice them too. But this one's probably the most obvious one. It's one of the most popular board games in the world.
It is.
And so probably should win board game of the year. Obviously,
And
there's no way to know, but
The reason I like it so much is because you guys are all working together to defeat the game.
which is what
Where
I hate.
he hates this type of game.
I'm not huge into cooperative board games where you're working together to do whatever. So
He's
that's why
a
those
lone
ones
wolf.
like that,
Lone wolf.
Magic Maze, some of these other ones where you're competing with each other, you're working together. I mean, it's not comprehensive. There are some others like Just One that won last year that I like, but generally speaking, those types are not my favorite. But
So
it is a phenomenal game, and people
is.
love it, and so that's why we wanted to include it here. Obviously, what do you like about it so much?
So I like how everyone in the group picks their players of what they, or is randomly assigned their players of what special abilities they have, and then everyone needs to go through the world and defeat the pandemic that's going on.
Right. And so there's a lot of variability in the game.
There is a lot of variability.
Right, so there's different things that could be happening, outbreaks in different
Different
areas,
strategies.
different strategies you can employ. One of the things that I do like, I mean, I like it, I just don't love it. And one of the reasons that it's so great is that it's challenging every time and
is.
challenging differently every time. And if that's the kind of game you like, where you're like, hey, I like working with people, and I like games that are challenging all the time, that you can't really just master and then you're just phenomenal, this is one, because
It is.
there's so many different things that can happen, and depending on what happens earlier in the game can affect later in the game. And so really, really awesome, well thought out, fantastically designed, great all around, would definitely be Pandemic.
Yep.
But there are 3 more that I do agree with, and we'll move on to those. And the next one we'll talk about is a game, gosh, I can't remember what year it was. We'll have to annotate that somewhere, but it is Splendor. So Splendor, I've played Splendor a lot more than he has, I think.
Yeah.
He's played it some, but I've played it a lot more. I've had it for, 5 years or so, and we've played it so many times. And, so in Splendor, the idea, obviously, behind it is there's, 4 cards across that are really expensive that you have to buy, then lesser ones, and depending on which cards they are and how much they cost, they're worth points. And you're trying to get to 15 points at the end of the game. And you do that by collecting these little gems.
Let me just say, the couple times that I have played it, that is my favorite part in the game. Those gems, there's just something about those gems that I absolutely love.
Yeah,
they're just
there is.
awesome.
I mean, they're just those round tokens with kind of an emerald or a ruby or whatever. But they've kind of changed them a little bit. They're not as cool, but they are still so awesome. And there's just something about game pieces for me that add to it. So I totally get you. So, but you put these, you're collecting cards. You collect gems first, and then you use your gems to buy cards. And then those cards are worth the gem. So, like, let's say you get a red ruby or whatever. But you collect a bunch, and then you can buy a card, and then it has a red ruby on it. Now that red ruby is worth the same as collecting one. So now if you were to collect one, you have 2, right? But that's permanently stays in front of you. And as you collect that, you can buy more and more expensive cards because you have some in front of you, and you have the ones you're collecting on the side. And so what I love that part of it where you're building this little empire of gems in front of you to buy more and more expensive cards to eventually buy the ones that actually were worth points. And then you have a noble come visit, which is worth a certain number of points.
Yep.
It's so fun. The way the game just plays, it's very simple again. The common theme we always say is that we love games that are simple to play, hard to play well.
That's
right?
right.
This is one of them where you're not really doing anything. You're collecting gems, you're buying a card, you're collecting a card.
Yep.
And that's really about all you can do.
Very simple.
However, the strategy you take, the route that you take throughout the game is going to be the most important thing you can do, and will make the most impact. And so we really, really like Splendor for that reason. It's quick. It's probably a 20, 30-minute game maybe.
Yeah, it's not long.
Not complicated, but very, very, very fun. And it was, I think it was a runner-up, like I said, years ago. And whether or not it should have beat who is it? Dang it, we'll annotate that too. But
we'll put it in there.
Regardless, it was really, really good, and we like it. Okay, let's move on to the third one. The third one is a game that I've played so much that the coins literally are losing the coloring on the outside and they're falling apart.
Me too.
And And that is Machi Koro. So Machi Koro,
love this game so much.
Yeah, so kind of the idea of Machi Koro is it's really just a card-based game.
It is.
Where there's a bunch of assortment of cards out in front of you that you can choose from. And throughout the game,
set up with cheapest to more expensive, I believe.
No. It's set up by
the number.
By the number. So the dice roll, which we'll explain in a second. But the idea there is that you're buying these cards, and they come in front of you, and then these cards earn your points because each turn somebody rolls the dice.
Yep.
And so depending on what the dice roll, you look in front of you, did I earn any points or not? Because some of the cards are, if anyone rolls, you get you get money. There's some other cards where if I roll, I get money, and there are cards where only if somebody else rolls, I get money. And so it's really cool because as you gain these cards and people are always rolling, you're just collecting money, and the whole point of the game is to then buy parts of your city, like a harbor or a mall or a whatever. And then the first person to have all those flipped over and have their whole city built is the winner.
Yep.
And so it's just really fun because you're kind of building an empire of sorts. You're building a city, and you're collecting cards. And there's so many, because there's so many to choose from. I don't know. There's probably 15 or 20, depending on how many expansions you have.
Yeah, there's quite a bit.
And the cards work together to give you more points or more money. And some of them are just.
And that's my favorite part about it is how each card works together to then get more money. But then I also like the cards that, I always call them the tax cards. The attack cards, the cards that when someone else rolls, you get the money from them.
Oh, yeah, totally.
I do like those cards.
The sharing is caring.
Yeah, the sharing is caring, for sure.
As we call them. But I agree. I mean, there's just something so special about the game because it's the core mechanic, what you're doing in the game is rolling dice.
Yeah, that's it.
But because there's so many options out there, there's just so many paths to victory, so many strategies that you can take that it's just fun every time because maybe somebody takes all the cards that you like to take normally and now it's like, crap, well, I have to go somewhere else because there's none left.
You have to, yeah.
And that happens all the time, especially if you're playing more than one game. You play a game and you win with this strategy and I was like, well, I want to do that. And they take all the cards and now you can't do it. So lots of opportunity, lots of just different cool stuff in it. So yeah, I would definitely say that's one for me that definitely should have won board game of the year.
Absolutely.
But didn't. So okay, let's move on to the last one. The last one is actually a very recent one. And it's one that I really, really enjoy, but it's a very simple card game, and that is Llama.
Now,
Llama is very fun. It should have won Board Game of the Year. Maybe it should have beat Just One for Board Game of the Year this last year. I like Just One a lot. It's a very fun game. It's a party type game. But it is cooperative, and for me, those kind of games,
cooperative games are not your favorite.
Kind of get beaten out. And
I would agree with you, though. I do think that Llama is right there with Just One. If not, I do kind of
if
agree.
not better.
It is a little bit better.
So in Llama, everyone has 6 cards, and you have them, and then you're playing basically in a deck. So there's a draw deck and a discard, and whatever the card. So at the beginning of the game, card just gets flipped, and that's what you play on. And so it's numbers 1 to 6, and then Llama. And so on any turn, you can play whatever the number is down or one higher. So if they flipped a card and the discard, the top card of the discard is a 1, then I can play a 1 or I can play a 2. But I can't play any other number. It's not like I can skip to a 3 or 4 or 5 or 6. Mm-hmm. And so you keep playing. Yeah, you keep playing. And then if I have a Llama, I can put a Llama down and that's resets. But I can only put a Llama down on top of a Llama or a 6. And that resets it to 1. and you keep going around until somebody loses all their cards, has no more cards, or everyone decides to quit that round. So like I can, if it comes to my turn and all I have is a 1, but I can't put it down because the card I could put down is a 5 or a 6, I can say, I'm going out, and I put it down, and now I don't, I'll collect 1 point at the end, and no more. Whereas if I want to keep going, but I can't do it, I can draw, oh crap, I just got a llama, and llamas are worth 10 points at the end of a round, whereas every other card's only worth the face value of it.
Yep.
And in this game, points are bad. You don't want points. And so I think it's the first person to 30 points loses, and then whoever has the fewest points is the winner. And so that's what happens is at the end of each round, you're gaining certain points, and that's bad because you're getting closer and closer to that 30 mark. And so,
which is why I love the game so much, because in every other game, points are good. You want the most points. You want to be the person with the highest points.
Yep.
But this one is like, no, you want to get rid of points, as many as you possibly can. So.
Yep, exactly right, and that's why I like Llama. It's so simple. When I first started playing, I liked it, and I thought, oh yeah, it's fun, but there's not much strategy. But there really is a ton of strategy when you start to play it some more.
Absolutely.
Because it's like, do I go out? Do I keep playing? Which card do I discard? Do I do a card the same as the one that's on the top, or do I go to the next higher one? To keep this one reserved for the next round. So anyway, there's a lot of strategy to it, and the more you play it, the more you see.
Yeah.
And so again, we say it a million times, and we'll keep saying it. It's very simple to play, very hard to play well.
Yep,
so
absolutely.
That is definitely one that should have won Board Game of the Year. I love it. It's a very small package, very simple, nothing to it. So.
Yep.
Guys, those are the 4 games that we would say should have won Board Game of the Year that just didn't win. We love them. They're fantastic. And again, the ones that beat them are good in their own right probably should have been there. But these are ones that were like, man, if only, because we like them that much.
Yep.
We love, though, to hear your comments, right?
We
love to hear your comments down below.
Please comment
on what you think, if you agree with this, if you think that some other board games should have won.
Or if you think the ones that did win
were the winners.
Deserves it. Just let us know. Comment, like, subscribe.
And then hopefully we've also earned your subscriptions as well. We try to make as good content as we can. We'd love to get your feedback on some other content you'd like to see us make here in the future.
Absolutely.
And we'll definitely do that. Until then, guys, we will see you next time.